All right, we're now live. Everybody sit tight as I share this video. All right. All right. See if we get some people on here to join live with us here. All right, I'm trying to share the link around for anyone viewing right now. All right, we got viewers on here. Awesome. I sent out the link for a couple of people to join in. I cannot see the live viewers right now, but I will see them very shortly. Stand by, just stand by, and we'll continue this. If you know of anybody that wants to, that would be interested in wanting to watch us while we're live, feel free to share this link around, and they are welcome to join in. I have to go get my phone and plug it in over here while I'm live. All right, the viewers are growing. This is awesome. So go ahead and share the link around. We'll get more of an audience in here. And if you're new to this on this YouTube channel, feel free to like I said, feel free to share the link around. Okay, let me see what we got here. All right, I'm going to share the link around now that I got my phone plugged up. Just bear with me, everybody. Well, I guess a couple of people didn't really like my Facebook Live feed. I don't know. I lost a couple of people. Oh, well. It ain't hurt my feelings, man. Let's see. All right, let's see what we got here. I'll be watching the live feed here very shortly to so we can interact. All right. Hey, Baltimore, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good yourself?
Oh, not bad, not bad. I'm just sharing the link around to kind of, spread the, build the audience a little bit. So.
Cool.
Let's see. All right. All right. Let's see what we got here. All right. Let's see what we got. We got viewers on here. I just got to go to the live chat through my phone to see what they're saying.
Okay.
All right. All right. Nikki's on it. She said, "You need an extension cord." Well, I got my USB port to my phone plugged into the side of my computer, so it's keeping it charged that way. So that works. So, all right. So anybody that's viewing, if you want to interact with the live chat, if you're on your phone, the live chat is directly below where you're viewing this. If you scroll down, you will see the live chat. If you're on your laptop or computer, your live chat will be on your top right hand side. So feel free to interact, ask questions, anything you like. I think we had a pretty interesting discussion there on Facebook earlier. But yeah, Baltimore, did you get a chance to look that lady up?
I did look at her page.
Oh,
I did.
okay.
Yeah, and I looked at the pictures and everything like that, and I saw exactly what you were saying. It was actually it was a baby gorilla.
Yeah, it's. I don't understand why people do that. Well, the thing is, unless they don't know, unless they are unaware or don't know that, themselves. That's the only thing I could think of. Either they're doing it deliberately, or they're just that much unaware.
Yeah,
It's kind of
I'm thinking that maybe that she's trying, to um, like she put a Native American legend to this, and there's some people that should know better.
right. Absolutely.
Yeah, everything, yeah, know why she did it, but because there's sometimes there's a lot of people that try to mislead other Bigfoot hunters. Fact, but when I saw it, because Bigfoot doesn't let anybody get that close.
Right.
Uh, and if you did, you should have a pretty good camera in order for to catch it the way just like that.
Oh
So,
yeah, absolutely.
hmm
Um,
yeah,
let's see.
yeah. For me, it's like picture pages. What doesn't belong, and that one definitely didn't belong.
Right. See if Shaky wants to get on here. Send Shaky. I don't know if he's available right now, but I sent him a link to join in if he wants. I don't know what he's up to. Alrighty. All right. Let me jump back to the live chat. All right. Well, well, Nikki, it looks like you're the only one on the live chat right now. All right. Well, let's see. Hold on. All right. Well, I was hoping for some more interaction on the live chat. Um, hmm. I know we got viewers watching. I know, yeah, we got viewers watching and everything, but I don't know what they're up to right now. I don't know if they don't. Maybe they're scared to interact, or what's the deal, or they don't know how. Which I just explained how. It's pretty easy, really. Um, well, since we're live on Facebook, I could go back and share what I was sharing with people earlier. Um, actually, all right, Shaky might jump on. He just now saw the link. Um, where is that one thing? I'm gonna pull up and show that photo again. I'm gonna do a screen share of it. So the explain to other viewers who might not have seen what we were doing on Facebook. All right. Hey, we got Ryan Reedon in here.
What's up, buddy?
Hey. Yeah, Ryan, you were in one of the other groups watching my Facebook stream. Did you? I don't know. Did you get to watch most of it?
It actually lagged on me, and like
Oh, okay.
it got real funny. So like that's when I said, "Hey, you should just do like a podcast." And
Yeah, yeah. It's like, well, what the heck? I figured I'd do one for at least about an hour or so. I sent, Sh-
I,
I sent
I
Shaky
was just gonna
a
try to.
link.
Oh, did you?
What's that? Yeah, I think he's sorry. I don't know if he's able to get on or not, but I figured I'd go ahead and do a screenshot of the photo that I was sharing earlier to
Hmm.
let people see because this is I have it shared on this is from someone's messenger here. I shared to them the side view of the ink. All right, if you can see right here, the hand right here,
Hmm.
and here you can see an ear right here. All right, and then you can see the front slope of the gorilla's face right here, and of course the roundness of the head. And now this is where I took it and I turned it sideways. And I thought this helped out a lot more by doing this too. And see, this here shows a right arm right here, very obvious. Of course, there's your ear of the gorilla, its face, the roundness of the head. See, and a lot of people say, well, gorillas don't have round heads. Well, a young gorilla does. Until they become more of an adult, then they get that more of that sloped hood type head. And over here would be the right arm. Excuse me, left arm. I keep saying right arm on both, but this is the left arm right here. So yeah, but yeah, for those who may not be familiar, this is what we were discussing on Facebook earlier, and this is a photo that was shared, being portrayed, being put out there as a Bigfoot. Not just a Bigfoot, but also known as the Stay Ye Ha. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, so I'll pull that up right here. This is what it was being called out as, and this is from a BFRO page right here. And here's a story. Anyone could find this themselves, but the Yakama. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Yakama Indian. Yeah. Um, it's pronounced Stee or Stay E Ha or Ma. One's plural, one's singular. Which it goes on to explain right here is roughly as follows. Spirit is stay is spirit. Ye is hiding. The Ha means cover of the woods. Altogether means a spirit hiding under the cover of the woods. And it goes on to say that they are a mysterious and dangerous people whose general habitat is the lofty forest regions of the Cascade Mountains. Um, so I thought that was pretty kind of crazy. I mean, I like this here, but to say that a mountain gorilla is a Bigfoot, it's kind of absurd. So, but let me go back to the
So you know where
photo.
that would?
What's that?
It shows where that was taken.
Not
It
what this
shows where
here?
that was taken. Yeah.
No, this one here. No, it actually does not show where this was taken. But thing is, from what I'm gathering, well, of course, this is the side view. I was what I did. I took this original photo right here and turned it to the side. All
Right.
right, and if I'm not mistaken, judging from the blurriness of the foliage around here, and the only thing that's clear is the up close, like this tree, this stick right here, a limb, whatever that might be, and this image here. These are the only things that come out to be pretty clear. From what I'm gathering, this almost appears to be a zoomed in cropped photo. And of course, it's got her name on it right there. Let me go back see if I can show her name on it. Yeah, Cat Cat Hansen, KhatHansen, and it's got her name 2008 on it. So,
Would you say
uh,
Cat Hansen?
yeah, KHAT
Hmm.
and HANSEN.
I was gonna look it up on Facebook.
Yeah, she's on there. So
There's one from Oregon.
Yeah, and she claims to have studied some. Well, that's somebody else's photo, and she claims to have studied some anthropology too. So she comes across as somewhat educated. So but yeah, there's a hand. That's a mount. Anyone could look up a mountain gorilla. I could actually do some. I got some comparison photos here. I could do. Hold on. I shared earlier too. Some other mountain gorillas to show you. I should have put them together. All right, hold on one second here. All right, let me come back here and do another screen share. All right. Now, I don't know how clear these are right here, but these are different images right here of other young mountain gorillas, like such as this one here. They got the rounded head. These young mountain gorillas got the rounded head. Now, I wouldn't be surprised seeing a picture like this shared in a Bigfoot group, calling this young juvenile Bigfoot's playing on a tree.
I think I actually did see that.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I don't remember where, but I did see this photo yesterday. But I don't know what. I cannot remember which group.
Which one? You talking about this one right here? The one I got my mouse on?
The previous one that
Oh, well, that's where.
Hanson's.
Yeah, it was presented to me, and they couldn't remember what group it was, but it got used as her cover photo too on her main timeline. But yeah, now see this one right here. This young mountain gorilla right here. This is more of the front of the face and everything, but you can see almost. I found almost like a similar tree right here that it would have been gripping. I'm trying to show other images that would have show the hand like I revealed. Saying here's some other young. These are very young ones right here. See how rounded their heads are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then I was going to show here's a more of an adult. You can see how their heads square up and slope back versus these young ones right here. So, then there was a few more here. Yep, and then of course this is the original photo before I flipped it, but so.
Did you happen to see the one from last week with Bobo? The one he posted. I don't know if you guys actually talked about that.
Yeah. There was a follow-up photo to that actually presented what it was.
It was by a garage or something like that.
Yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about. And Bobo actually goes on with another comment or message or a post. He corrected it and he stated that he was not trying to pull a fast one on nobody or nothing like that. But come to find out, it was actually a moose that was originally bedded down underneath by a tree by that house or building or whatever it was.
Right.
So which was kind of very mysterious there. Even in the image, I could see how it looked like or appeared to be like a humanoid figure in that one image because it was very blurry for one thing. Supposedly the person who took it, whoever took it was driving, so that kind of makes some sense that it came up distorted a little bit. But so, yeah.
People were still confused how it was a moose, and I told them, it's walking away.
Right. You're catching the rear end, and their legs are not. They do have skinny legs towards the end, but some mooses, I don't know. I've heard of other mooses being mistaken as Bigfoot in the past, which I don't know. I guess in a way I kind of see that because they are very large, and you got that brown hair or fur or whatever. Let's see. All right, right now we currently have very little interaction on the live chat. We got several viewers on here, but for the new viewers that are just jumping on, if you want to interact or have questions about anything Bigfoot related, feel free to interact on the live chat. And see, and if you're again, I'll repeat, if you're on your phone, if you're new to this, and if you're on your phone, if you scroll right down below where you're viewing, the live chat will pull right up for you. And if you're on a laptop or desktop, your live chat to interact with us is on the top right hand side. So at least that's where it is on mine. So I got the
Right.
live chat open right now, and so anyone that wants to interact, feel free. You're more than welcome. Don't be shy. And here we go. We do have somebody in here. Oh, who is this? This is a new one. All right. Enlighten the World Wilson says, "Hello, everyone. I have a question. Are Sasquatches known to chew on branches? I
Yes.
find pieces of branches which look like they have been chewed on my property. Just wondering if that is Sasquatch." Okay, that's interesting, Ryan. I'll let you start on that if you want.
Sure. That is a definite possibility. People out there that are like researching this whole aspect with Sasquatch, Bigfoot. Um, a lot of times they'll find that trees and branches and logs that are on the ground have been like chewed or crushed or smashed. And it looks like they're actually, a lot of people think that they're eating the grubs. I don't know. It could be the grubs, but I believe they're actually uh, eating the wood itself. It's high in sodium.
Yeah,
So it could be a possibility that that's what.
yeah, kind of like the bark or something.
Go ahead. Right.
Okay, yeah,
And you think about it too. Oh yeah, the bark is. That's what I mean. That's kind of what they eat. Um, eh, I've noticed it quite a few times in certain areas. I don't think it's so much the grubs.
right,
I mean, it could be, but I think it's more for the higher sodium factor. I mean, it could maybe even help their teeth. It's not like they have a dental plan. You know what I'm saying? Um, so who knows? I mean, but there's definitely something to it with them eating, and not just bark. People across the U.S. have reported them eating all types of minerals.
Hmm.
One guy that I spoke to down south, which seems really odd, uh, he states that they were like eating copper. He would like leave pennies and coins and stuff out where he would find them like chewed and then put back like bent, because he was habituating. So it was very interesting, and then other people, they're eating plants and, they're always digging, it seems like, in the dirt, and people find, all different types of things. So I
Right,
think it's more mineral related. So it is a possibility that they're eating, the bark.
right. And this young lady, she goes on to say, she said, "Yes, they look like they were mashed, and I see like they've been chewed." And she said, "Thank you so much." Um, one
I
thing
think
I'll
it's almost, oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I know another thing too, and I know other animals such as deer are known to bite on trees. Especially mainly to grab the leaves and stuff like that. Bears have been known to bite on some trees, mainly down falling rotted trees. But now another thing too, porcupines eat bark and stuff like that too. But now she's saying they've been mashed down. Um, I was gonna,
Right, kind of what we were finding is like you'd get the big log on the ground and it looks like they just smash it right to the ground, and it's like they pulverize it, and it's almost like maybe they're not eating the bark, but they want what's inside.
right.
um it's weird. It's almost like a pulp where they smash it to a pulp, and then the insides, maybe it's softer or whatever, but that's what we've found quite a bit.
Okay.
Down down here in South Texas, they down in the woods, where the wood is real soft. We always found small little grub worms, but we even found some grubs maybe the size of your thumb.
Hmm.
Um, and then so we saw a lot of that, and then so there, and you're also forgetting about the termites.
Ah.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of primates that actually eat termites.
Hmm.
Just looking for that certain smell.
Oh
So
yeah.
What I think we should focus on, which nobody really talks about, is the type of trees that they're going after. Nobody's really paying attention to the types of trees. So, are they strictly going against the poplar, the ash? I don't see them doing it to maples, and I don't see them doing it to pines. So if we could key in on what type of tree, maybe there's something, like if the grubs are in the ash trees or more prevalent in those trees than in pine trees, that would explain why they're going after, let's just say poplar or whatever it may be. I think we should pay attention to that.
yeah,
Well,
like down here too, they actually chew on the mesquite bean. The mesquite bean is it's real sweet once you chew it, and
right.
uh, and when it gets dried up, it's like if Native Americans use that to make bread from it.
Huh.
So
Hmm.
yeah, the more they chew, the more they chew it, the sweeter it gets. So if anybody has eaten mesquite bean or mesquite flour, you can actually taste the sweetness of it.
Right. There was a couple other trees I just thought of too. One, I know birch trees. If there's birch trees in areas, I know they're found only in certain areas. But birch trees, parts of the birch tree have been known to use to make tea. So maybe there's something in the birch tree as well. Now here's another one, and what made me think of this one? It comes from an individual who between the two of us, we've had much disagreements between us. But this one here, I actually have to agree with this one here for the very fact that you can make tea out of this one, which is the sassafras tree.
Sassafras,
Uh,
yes.
yeah. So, and that comes from I know that they make tea, but as far as the one who actually, I have to give him credit on this one, even though I've had much disagreement with this gentleman, is Mr. Fred Canny. So if he's listening, there, you did teach me something to consider. So, so there, pat yourself on the back for that one. So,
Yeah,
but
Yeah,
go ahead.
and uh, and also too, I believe where you're all are from, that you have the ginseng root.
yep, oh yeah,
I have some south of me, up in certain areas.
yeah.
I'm from Western New York. So right up around the Appalachian. I mean, I'm probably, I don't know,
Ginseng, like in Kentucky area.
75 miles from there, but we still have the foothills, and it's not really prevalent up here. But I know Daniel does.
Western New York.
Oh yeah, we have yeah, over in my main research area, there's actually people that well, yeah, like you said, the Appalachian and in the national forest down here, there's certain times of year people will go out on ginseng hunts. Um, Indian Bear Claw says, I have known instances where Sasquatches have chewed on branches because they chew for the insects within the wood to get the protein out of them. So, okay. And
I
Indian
think if we
Bear,
got a, go
oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was just gonna give him a shout out because he's always talking to me on Twitter, and it's the first time I've actually recall seeing him here on the live feed, which is awesome. I'm glad he's here. He's a buddy of mine. He's recovering through some surgery, and he's been through some rough times. So, so
No, that's cool.
yeah. All right. Well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you there. So go ahead.
I lost my train of thought. Don't worry about it.
Oh, I do that all the time. I hate when that happens. That's why I got a notepad next to me. If I
I'm
think of something while you guys are talking, I'll write it down real quick.
I'm
So,
actually upset. I got this new computer, and I'm really not digging it because the webcam isn't very clear. Um, this is actually the first time I'm using it with you, so I'm gonna I think I'm gonna take it back and get a different one.
what, the computer or the webcam? Or the
It's all together.
Oh,
It's
okay, okay. I didn't know if you had something separate there, but huh?
no,
What kind of computer is it?
yeah, it is an HP Pavilion, but it's called the Platinum or the Liquid or whatever this thing is. Uh, I had another one. It's a really expensive gaming one, but it was so heavy, and like if I go out on the deck or wherever I'm traveling to, I swear to God, it was like 20 pounds.
Right.
And you couldn't access the battery or anything. So I went with this lighter one because it's maneuverable, but I'm not liking the camera. It won't let it go past 720. My other one
Oh,
had a 1080 on it. So
I don't know. You seem like it
I
looks
might,
all right.
I might be making a trip. On my side here, it's very pixelated, and the resolution is just even like my hand when I do that, it looks like it's trails.
Oh man. Now wait a minute. What about on the? You can set your settings on here for. If you go to the top of the screen, you can set your camera and settings.
Where's
Like,
that at?
all right, take your mouse and scroll to the top center of the screen because right now it won't. It's invisible
Oh
to
yeah,
you.
yeah. That's what
Oh, okay,
that's where I was at. And then
gotcha.
it says HD version 720.
Right.
It won't give me a 1080 option.
Hold on, let me see.
So,
Oh,
like
Bear
my
Claw
other
said
one
I
was
didn't.
it was really
Oh,
high
go
end,
ahead.
and it gave me the 1080. But
Right. Indian Bear Claw said, he said, I didn't get to finish my line. Well, go ahead and finish it. you, I'm sorry, I read what you put up there, so. Nikki just said it looks clear to her. Yeah,
thank you.
because
By the
I
way, I
see
didn't
you
catch
clear.
this other gentleman's name.
Oh, this is Baltimore. Everyone
Nice
keeps
to meet you.
calling him Baltimore, like from Maryland, but he's Baltimore. Yeah, spelled Baldemar. Yeah. So from
Because I heard him
Texas.
say earlier something about Western New York.
Oh, he was telling his fiance. His fiance is there. So.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, Baltimore just actually had he just had well, the news just about a few weeks ago, wasn't it? Or about a few weeks to a month ago, the local news did a report on him and his group down there in Texas, and they're investigating a certain area down there, and they've got a lot of activity down there in his part of Texas. He's got a lot going on down
Awesome.
there. So, and
Well,
which
once the weather
Nick,
And
gets warmer up here, we will too.
yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm actually working also with another BRO guy down here, and apparently the it has gotten a pretty. He has a lot of reports from quite a bit of the more South Texas areas, and a little
okay,
bit more of the north. And so we're actually going to be getting together, and we're actually going to be having a small little BRO meeting, and like that we can
okay,
compare. Yeah, like that we can compare uh, the stuff that we actually the stuff that we got, the evidence that we actually got. So I'm comparing my maps and his maps together, and to see how
okay.
big the area really truly is. But we're looking at like around pretty close to like around 200-mile radius. So
Oh,
yeah,
Oh
a lot of
wow.
people a lot of people have actually been seeing it quite a bit down the rivers, down the lakes areas. So for some reason, they're starting to get very active down here. I don't know if it's because of the pipelines of all the senderos that have been opened up because of the pipeline, and they're also too following the railroad tracks. They actually
Oh
removed
yes,
some. Yeah, they actually removed
I
some
hear a
railroad
lot of
tracks.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anything that there's a even anything was a path that where there's no woods or anything like that on there, like senderos, always get
hmm
cleaned every year. So that's an area for them to cross. That's easier for them to cross. Old train tracks are making for easy for them to cross. So anything there's a path where they cannot be seen them walking through, that's exactly how they've been traveling now. So
Right.
so that's a
Hey
big thing
Ryan,
for us here.
you see, this
Yeah.
is him right here. If you cross him the wrong way, he will scalp you. Nah, he's a badass. I like that. That stuff's awesome for real.
I actually just got a message from the
From
lady from Fat Hansen because I asked her
what'd she
about
say?
that photo. She says to me, to be precise, none of my photos are of gorillas. I have over 7,000 photographs taken over 50 years, examined by head of New York Zoo primatology and found to be vestigial nose flaps that are only present in early hominae, aka pro-homo sapiens, and apes. This allows the Sasquatch to close their nose and swim underwater. Then she pauses, something apes, gorillas, and chimps cannot do. So in reference to whichever photo you are referencing, no, it is not a gorilla.
Oh my goodness!
What? I
Wow.
should ask her to come live. Maybe she has some information.
I don't know about that one.
But the thing what
I
gets
like.
me is why did she get so close?
I can ask her.
Yeah, how?
I
Because
don't know.
normally, man, because once a Bigfoot sees you or whatever, the very first thing he wants to do is get out and leave. You know
I
why?
can I can interrupt and interject real quick.
Sure.
I've been able to get close uh, only after I habituated for 5 months straight. I tried a
Okay.
bunch of different tactics, and what I did is after habituating 5 days a week, same time, 6 p.m. every day, Monday through Friday, I think I gained their trust. In the beginning they were way off, and then they wouldn't show up, and then they'd come closer and closer and closer to finally they got so close that in some of the videos, um, they're really good at hiding, and I wouldn't see that they were there, and I would actually pan and catch one or several, and I was walking by, and I might have been looking the other way, and then when I come home and release the footage on my site, people are like, "Oh my God, do you see what you have? Do you?" And I'm like, "No," and I would go back through. The biggest thing, it's so hard to see them with your eyes. I mean, they're so hidden. I tell people
Right.
it's like you're going into their home. If I'm just sitting there in all camel, you'd probably walk right by me. So if I don't move, it's all about movement. Our eye catches the movement, like I've stated before. Um, if you're just sitting still, like you could walk right by a deer if it doesn't move, but the minute its ear or tail will flick, you pick it up because your eye is adjusted to the movement. That's what it picks up on. But like I said, the way I got close to them is the habituation thing. And once they got comfortable with me, what I noticed is they just sit there. They'll just hang out, and they won't run. Like you said, they'll take off. Well, they did that in the beginning, but after about toward the end of last summer, they just started like sitting on their butt. And I do have a couple where I was panning the camera and people took the clips out. I had a friend, Leonard, that did this. There was one sitting on its butt, and it gets up and it goes over the log. So what you see is 3 frames that I put together, he put together, 3 frames of it getting up like this off its butt, and you can see the way the shoulders are really wide, and it comes down to your V hips and out to the legs, and it goes up and over the log. As that one does that, there was one in the tree, and then a big one walks across the back. You can see the blatant motion of it walking down through the back. But not one of those 3 did we see, because as I panned that way, I looked probably to my 11 o'clock. I didn't look, to my 9 o'clock, and that's where they were.
Mm.
They're so hard to see, and that's why people say this or that or whatever. They're spiritual or they're paranormal, or I don't know what they are, because I've had so many crazy encounters, that experiences, you can't put it in a box. So I'm just all about going back out this year and trying to learn more, because the more you learn, the deeper you end up getting. But you don't want
Right.
to do that.
Hey Ryan, could you
Go ahead.
do me a favor? I
Yeah.
asked Nikki on the live chat because Nikki's the one who first presented that photo to me and asked me what she said. What do you see right here? And it was very obvious from the get go what it was. And me and her both did comparison photos. So,
Uh,
um, but I asked her. I said, Nikki, did you hear what Kat responded to Ryan? She said, no. What?
you want me
So,
to
all right,
reread it?
yeah, go ahead and reread it. I got her attention right now. Hold on one
Okay.
second. Hold on 1 second.
She actually texts me again. She says to me, after I read all that to you, I asked her, how have you gotten so close? She said, I grew up with them, literally. Then
Wow.
now she just sent me a link to a mysteriousAmerica.com. Hanson, INT something. But
It's a yeah, that must be our own website.
what I'll read here is for Nikki. She says, I had asked her if it was a gorilla. She said, to be precise, none of my photos are of gorillas. I have over 7,000 photos taken over 50 years, examined by the head of New York Zoo primatology, and found they're found to have vestigials, which are nose flaps that are, I got to scroll, only present in early hominid, aka pro Homo sapiens, and apes. This allows the Sasquatch to close their nose and swim underwater, something an apes, gorillas, and chimps cannot do. So in reference to whichever photo you are referencing, no, it is not a gorilla. That is the type of lady that you need to have on here and to talk to her, because I'd like to just at least hear it.
You know what? I'm gonna right now, honestly, just for this sake, I'm just gonna leave it alone for the time being. I mean,
Regardless if you believe her or not. You know what I
right.
mean? Like, just something to.
Let's put it this way. She was someone like that. I would more or less get on on the radio show,
Mhm.
and that way we get more people. She could get questioned more. Because
Right.
you know I could get Baltimore on there. I could get you on there, Shaky on there, especially Nikki. And I would actually bring in a primatologist if all possible. Um, that would listen in and all that good stuff. I
Ask
would definitely,
questions.
yeah. Nikki's response on the live chat was like, "Oh wow." Yeah. Let's see. Hold on. Let me see something here. Let's see. I'm reading something on from Michael Cook. Then he's oh,
Yeah, I really
okay.
believe the more time we just keep spending out there, the more we're going to keep learning. But some of the problems are like we were talking about last time, Daniel. Like me and you could go out in the woods together, experience the same thing, but come away from it with different perspectives.
Yeah.
So that's why everything gets so
Yeah.
muddy.
Nikki said with that photo that she has up, I'm pretty sure we could find that stock footage of the gorilla. I'm sure we can too. What it is, because I believe it's a zoomed in photo, a cropped
Right.
photo. I'm convinced that it's slightly cropped, not entirely, but there's some crop. If you watch the edge of the border of that photo, you could tell there's a slight croppedness to it, especially the way the foliage is slightly distorted in the background. I mean, so it's kind of, I don't know.
Oh, so
I mean, just from what you read and what I've gathered, I am convinced that there's something that's far fetched in that story there, in that information.
well, I just looked at her page right now. She was in Alternate Perceptions magazine, issue 135, April 2009. An interview with Kat Hansen. She claims to be a Choctaw medicine woman, and she reveals details of Bigfoot encounters. So she's Indian. She is a type of empathic healer who is training as a medicine person. And she has this whole thing. It was a story done on her
Right.
where she talks about Bigfoot.
I mean, I got Indian in my bloodline, but it doesn't make me a
She
expert.
claims to be a medicine woman.
Her
What?
perspective, the editor asks her and says, you have written in a blog that you've been interacting with Kihosa since age 5. You explain that Kihosa means Bigfoot. You state that he's neither animal or human and can do very incredible, if not downright supernatural sounding things. Is Kihosa a Native American term? And she says, yes, it's Choctaw. She says Kihosa means to forget. is a name that he has named himself. She goes on and on and on. He is neither animal or human. He is, that's what you said, the Steoma or Bigfoot or whatever that is. I do not call him Sasquatch, as that is a made-up Indian word.
Yeah,
Is
Nikki on the live chat said she's from Arizona. If she's Indian, she would be Navajo or Hopi or Hopi Flagstaff.
Nobody
Oh
claims to
no,
be a a medicine man.
yeah, she corrected it. She said no, Choctaw in Arizona. So okay, Choctaw.
Right, baby, if someone trained to be, they don't have to train somebody to be a medicine person.
You do get trained to be a medicine person. Traditionally, yes. The medicine person in the tribe chose somebody and trained them. Yes. Okay. These days, it is not the most common practice. Okay. And
this is
they've been trained as a medicine person, they usually mean something entirely different. It means they've gone out and sought someone to teach them how to do things, or they learned it in books the way I have. And now that they've decided they know everything they need to know, they're going to call themselves a medicine person.
Yeah.
she said she's a trained archaeologist that worked in South and Central America for over 20 years. Her field of expertise is pre-Columbian civilizations.
Hey, she sounds weird to me, bud. I'm sorry.
I
She
agree.
No,
sounds weird to
I
me.
agree, Baltimore. I agree.
Let me, um,
don't judge a book by its cover.
no, I
I
come
think
up
we.
there. I'm sorry, but I come up there and I study myself. I even talk with scientists and all these other people, and I work with them. And I don't consider myself a scientist. I consider myself, a person that's learning about nature.
Right.
I have been through campsites. I've seen a lot of stuff, a lot of pottery, and everything like that. And I just leave that thing alone. And the thing
Yeah.
is, again, I cannot call myself an archaeologist because of the stuff that I do. I just more try to understand exactly how these people lived.
Those
You know,
things
Right.
are easy enough to check, though.
yeah, but yeah, I would have this person checked out because
Yeah.
there's I don't call myself a medicine man. There's some people that
You never call yourself.
yeah, because that's one thing that you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to be calling yourself a medicine person because you're not. That's basically way up there. And then a lot of people who are elders. They're in their
And they
70s,
never
80s,
claim that they're medicine.
and they're never claimed to be medicine people.
Right.
Right.
So it's
Well,
basically
Unless she wants notoriety or the claim to I am this because she's trying to be elite or something.
Yes.
yeah.
exactly. Oh, for sure. But
Well, well. With that
there's some.
being said, Nikki's asking some good questions, and I guess since Ryan, you're chatting with her. For one thing, she's asking how old is she? Because Nikki says
Um,
she looks very young to be all that. And
well,
like
if you let me get back to it, go ahead.
yeah, even Nikki said it's a great honor to be considered a medicine person. And then she agreed because Nikki knows. Yeah, she agrees with you, Baltimore. Because she's very familiar with a lot of the Native American, you know, you know, I guess how the history and how it all works too. But yeah, find out how old she is because she said didn't she? She said she had 50 years of photos.
She stated she had 50 years of work, so that's why I'm asking some questions.
Because I mean, if her photos, like I said, Nikki's saying she looks young in her photos. I mean, is she younger than 50? Then, or she's only around 50? Then she must have been taking pictures out of the womb,
No, I get it.
right?
I was going to ask him. You're down in the Southwest, and I know you're obviously Indian background. Have you had any types of the paranormal things happen while you're out researching? Have you experienced anything like that?
Um, per, hmm.
Just briefly.
No, it's paranormal
I know that
stuff at the same places.
I know that there I know that there are paranormal stuff that occurs. Um,
in the same places that
yeah,
you've seen the
yeah.
Bigfoot?
Well, we have actually seen a paranormal. About we know that there's paranormal stuff that happens in the area that I actually seen Bigfoot at. There's even UFOs that have been seen the same area that Bigfoot's at.
Okay.
We've
Yeah,
never
Well,
had
the
them.
reason.
but we have never had them at the same time.
Okay. Well, the
Yeah,
reason
there's like
I was just asking is a lot of people. I've even had paranormal experiences and stuff while I was out, and I've had something actually crazy happen. But uh, that's why I was asking because I was trying to tie in some of the vortices and the hotspots across America in reference to Bigfoot. Uh, Maybe it's like a high energy area that they are attracted to or something. So that may be why there's a lot of reports of the UFOs and the other paranormal things. Um, but I was trying to tie it all together, and because they claim there's a lot of vortices all over America, but especially in the Southwest.
see because down here in South Texas we have a lot of limestone. We have lot of limestone deposits that basically hold a lot of energy. And
Right.
sometimes there's sometimes when you go into some old campsites and things like that, you really feel a lot of energies there. There's some times that you even go down the creek beds and you actually feel a lot of the Native American presence there. And then there's sometimes that I mean, there's sometimes you have strange feelings in there.
We have a lot of limestone up here also. That's kind of funny you mentioned that.
Mhm. Yeah, if you actually look inside the limestones, and there's always little crystals inside of them. Always these little yellow crystals in there. Uh,
For energy, right?
Correct. And then a long time ago in the 1850s, the water tables here was like 13 feet, and we had a lot of freshwater springs here. So that's also brings up the energy levels as well. So it's like for me, Bigfoot it's a spirit animal. And then it's like once you see it, you want to see it again, and you are so obsessed with it, and you constantly want to see it. And then when other people have the experiences that you had, and it's basically the same thing. Once they see it, they just can't get it out of their head. So they try everything possible, to do certain things and go back into the woods and have that opportunity to see it just one more time or hear it one more time. And again, that's why we call it the spirit of the forest. That's why he always stays in the woods. So I guess.
See, I agree with everything you say because when I first started out, I was the same. I had the same situation, and then I became obsessed with it, and then eventually I backed off of it, um, and I kind of cleared my head from it. Uh, and I kind of got back into it last year a little bit, actually pretty heavy, and then but it's not like an obsession. It's more of an intrigue for me now, trying to be more level headed with it. But I've seen them last year. It was an abundance of sightings. Um, I don't know why. I don't know if it's because the summer grew hotter up here, but we were in the 90s up in Western New York. I'm south of Buffalo. Uh, yeah, but it's never really in the 90s. So I don't know if that could, account for it. But what I noticed, like me and Daniel talked about before, is I would look for these big structures. So when I found these larger structures that a lot of people will find a structure and they'll pass it up, right? They'll walk or they'll follow it to the next one to see where it leads them. What I was doing is keying in on the larger structures, and then I would come back to them every week, every week. And if I found one that was currently being added to, I said, "Oh well, there's a new tree or branch or whatever it was, in that structure." I'd start to key in on that location, and when I did that, that's when I started having more and more activity and encounters, just focusing on the added structures. A lot of people, just like I said, they see them and they just keep going, and it's like you are possibly passing up some of the best evidence because nobody's paying attention to that. They're like, "Oh, look at this structure," and then they'll videotape it, and then off they go, and they never revisit it to pay attention to if it's being added to. We need to know where they are and how they move but you're not spending enough time coming back to it.
Right.
You know, not to change subject, but I did get a message, and she said she is age 54 tomorrow. Why? I
Oh,
understand. I understand. I co-host a show called Understanding Sasquatch. I never even heard of it.
well, the thing is, there is a Bigfoot group called Understanding Sasquatch, but it's she might be one of the administrators there, but it's Keeg Ryan, something Keeg, I forget the guy's name, runs
Mhm.
it.
Now, where in New York actually do you live in?
The city I live in is Dunkirk, New York. I'm right on Lake.
Hey,
You're kidding!
my fiance's from Duncan, New York.
Oh, wow.
You have got to be kidding me.
No, I reside in Dunkirk. Hi. What's your name?
Hey, you guys might have been neighbors.
Where
It
did you?
was Burmeister, Lillian Burmeister.
Burmeister.
I graduated in '86. My family was out on Seal Street.
Seal Street. I grew up on Courtney Street.
Oh, okay.
Yep. You know where School 3 is, and then you would go all the
Yeah.
way to Roberts Road. It used to be clean down in the Fourth Ward, and then it got terrible,
Yeah.
so I moved out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. I live in Dunkirk, but the area that I research is about 20 minutes south. It's Cherry Creek, Arkwright,
Yeah.
Charlotte, out there.
Yeah.
That's where we've had a lot of our encounters. Yep. Small world.
Yep. Now I gotta tell you though, my dad, right before he passed, was talking to Baldy and I about Baldy had asked him, and he said, you know, I can neither confirm nor deny the fact that I have seen them in that big lot of property behind the cemetery on Central Avenue, because that's where our family grew up.
Oh wow.
My grandfather built our house back there in 1940, when it was nothing but strawberry fields and woods and everything else, and apparently Dad used to see it back there.
Well, that would run to the backside of Main Street Extension, and that's
Yes.
funny you say that because last year we seen there's a curve over there by Pecos Construction.
Yes.
There's a few trees that are on the side of the road, and as we were driving through, there were some really big branches that were snapped right down. There was actually 3 of them in a row, and I was like, that's intriguing, but I never did go search over there. But that's
Wow.
odd that you say that. We seen that last year.
Yes. See, because that butts up against our property. Those
Okay.
woods, you follow that down, and it goes right behind Seal Street and Seal Acres. If you follow it all the way in, you'll go right into the back of the cemetery right there on Central Avenue.
That's Willow Cemetery, I think, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yep.
Right there on Central Avenue. And of course, when you go directly across the street, there was an old man over there that owned, I think, 40 or 50 acres. He grew corn, and there was a big pond in the center of his property. My dad used to sneak over there to go fishing. And
when we were younger, they used to call it the Rock.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, the funny part is, you know where Purina is, right?
Yes.
Okay. A lot of people last year were saying, you know, I've seen Sasquatch close to town. Not here, but I mean on the internet. And I didn't believe it. I said, no, that's not possible. So I went down behind Purina. They have an access road. And what I did is I parked back there, and it goes off toward the railroad tracks, like your husband said. So we went down by the railroad tracks, and I found one of the biggest structures that I've ever found. It was, you know, gigantic. It had probably 100 or 200 sticks around it. We found a nice footprint, and I didn't know if they're using the railroad tracks to, you know, they could follow them, and it's just easy, like he was saying. But I found that last year. So when you try to talk about this stuff to people, it's hard. I've got a few people that I go out with up here, but I've had a really hard time recently because our channel and everything exploded, and the local conservation office has tried to come down on me a little bit. I had a bunch of trail cameras out on state land where I was interacting with them a lot. And
Yeah.
what they did is they went and watched my video and found out where my cameras were and took my cameras down, called me up and was like, hey, is this Ryan? I said, yeah. He's like, I have your cameras. You have to take them down. They're not allowed on state land. So it was a big issue. So I had to apply for a permit right now. It's called a TRP, which is a temporary revocable permit. And what it gives you is access to state land to use cameras or do any type of research like that. But they're here. They're up here. I never believed it until this is, year 5 or 6 now. Until I had my first encounter. That was 2012, 13.
That's
See.
weird.
It's just weird. It's awesome that somebody's from Dunkirk and
Yeah, that's just weird. That was just
Yep.
really, really strange.
That's why when I heard him say Western New York earlier, I was wondering if he had family up here. And then when I said Dunkirk, he was like, "That's where my wife is from."
Yeah, I asked Baldy. I said, find out exactly where, because even if it's not Dunkirk, we all know that area, well enough. I mean, once a Western New Yorker, always a Western New Yorker.
Yep. I spent a lot of time in the hills. I've hunted my whole life, and I never had any experiences. I wasn't looking for it. I was looking for the deer, the way the deer patterns were, the movements, and so on and so forth. Until one day I was metal detecting, and I ended up having an encounter really close with a juvenile, and it scared the hell out of me. And I didn't tell anybody. And then the following year, I went out to another location in Arkwright, metal detecting some old home structures. And I was with a friend of mine, and he passed away, but we ended up seeing a large male. And after that experience, it changed me to the point of, I'm a type of person, maybe it's a Western New York thing, but I need to have answers. I have to dig into it. So I've been delving into this for the last 4 or 5 years now. And then I finally came online about a year or two ago. And you try to put it all together. A lot of people are spiritual and this and that. And so I tried the flesh and blood thing. I tried the habituation thing. I tried this all the way down the line until I finally had some paranormal experiences that I can't explain. I don't even like talking about it, but I still do my research, and I'm intent on getting some better footage this year. I have decent footage. It's by no means the best, but there are some clear shots of some Sasquatch in my videos. And my goal, I guess you would say, I would want to get as close as possible and sit down. See, that's kind of the strategy that I've taken. I go to these core locations that I find, and then I sit down in them. I don't go wander the woods. I try to track them down and find where their main core area is. I'll sit there. I don't care if it's 2 or 3 or 4 hours, and things start to happen. They may show up, and it's interesting. But I've done a lot of research, and it's gotten to, it's tiring sometimes. But I'm the type that really wants answers.
Yeah, we're gonna be going up there in July.
Yeah, we'll be home for the summer. So
July was one of my best months last year. July 3rd, I caught it on camera.
oh wow.
Daniel knows what footage it is.
Yeah.
I went up, I was replacing a trail camera. So I had my 4K camera in my hand. I said, guys, I'm going to take my backpack off and I'm going to set you against the tree. So I took my camera, set it against a tree like on a tilt, took my backpack off, got the game cam out, and I'm talking to the camera. I walk back about 10 paces and I'm putting the camera on the tree. And as I do that, everybody knows you look, however you're going to turn the camera, you look to where you're going to face it. When I did that, there was one standing over there and it scared me. I was like, whoa, I like jumped. And I was trying to get the camera together and snapped on the tree and turned on as fast as I could to get a picture of it. Ultimately, I didn't, but I'm talking to the camera out in front of me, telling that camera what I'm seeing and what is happening, because I know it's recording. I go back to the camera. I'm really distraught. I'm pissed off that at 50 yards, not even 40 yards, this female like stands up and watches me. And I'm telling the camera all this stuff. I get home, upload it, put it into my YouTube, and people start, telling me, hey, you got something there. And I'm like, what? So in the background of the footage, there was a few of them back there. And one of them is like on the ground doing something with its mouth. Another one is behind a tree doing this. And then a really big one, he like sticks his arm out like 3 or 4 times in this video. And then he grabs the branch and stands up really fast. And he's ginormous. He's pretty wide and big. And I didn't know it was there, but I'm talking the whole time, and he must have heard what I'm saying, because he couldn't have been about 70 yards away from me. And he's just watching what I'm doing. Well, as I start to walk back toward my camera to pick it up off the ground prior, he turns around really fast and takes off. You could see the fluid movement. And what happens is the sun kind of like breaks through the foliage and it lights his back up. It not lights it up. It looks like it changes it to a white color, but it's not. And you could see the reddish tone in him, the reddish brown tone. It was some of the best footage I've caught. I've caught him in trees and other things like that. But it was interesting. Talk about July. But if you guys come home, I'll show you where we go, and maybe you can have an encounter of your own. And the craziest thing, I'll tell you this, within about 500 or 600 yards of the road is where I've found these core areas that they come to these ridges, and they like to sit there. And it seems like they can watch down these hills to if any people come walk their dogs and hike off trail, and they sit in these strategic locations, and it's awesome. Because once you find them, it's like they keep coming back to it. So for that whole week in July, it was just like off the chain. I caught audio recordings of them talking, which I share on my SoundCloud. And the recordings, like, I didn't claim anything at first, but I knew what it was. So I sent them off to Scott Nelson, and I sent them off to this other gentleman who are linguists. And when you capture audio, they look for the morphemes and phenoms in the audio. And it came back is that, it had morphemes and phenoms in it. And what that is that's indicative of language. And I caught like a whole 5-minute segment of like one screaming, and then, it's unreal. It
kind of you mean kind of like syllables?
Right. There's syllables,
Okay.
phenoms, and morphemes. Yep. That's technical language. Right.
Yeah, I'll welcome.
Well, hey, I got a question on live chat. It's coming from Miss O'Brien. Is Whitehall near Dunkirk?
Whitehall is about 4.5 hours to my east.
Oh, east of you. Oh,
East.
wow.
It's between me and New York City. New York City's on the right hand of the map. I'm on the left side of the map.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, because see, Whitehall, you know about the history of Whitehall. It's got a lot of Bigfoot sightings up there.
Oh, for sure.
In that
And
area.
what happens,
So-
the reason it does is nobody's really looked at the map. You've got the Finger Lakes up there. If they're traveling from Canada, they're forced to go through certain towns and around certain suburbs to come back down to through the Appalachians, because you've got the Finger Lakes. They're not going through these big lakes. They could, but the easiest travel route is to go around it. Same with my area. We have a lake in Mayville, and what happens in Mayville is, they either have to go closer to Lake Erie or the far way around this lake out toward Jamestown and through the woods that way. And that's the way they take. And what happens is I've tracked them, like I told you, where you get into Pennsylvania and then it splits, and they'll end up going toward the Ohio River Valley or down into the Appalachians. But it's really hard to track them. And people are always like, well, why don't you come here? Since I started this channel, I've had people from all over my county contact me. And I try to tell people, if you've got like your Easter basket right here full of candy, referring to Bigfoot, I don't really have time right at this moment to go to your location and check it out, which could be your hit or miss, you know, because I'm really trying to learn, right? You know, and if they're there, I'm not gonna, you know, if it goes cold and, you know, and then the area just goes void and somebody's seeing them in a different county, I'll go travel. I had a lady in Little Valley contact me where they were breaking her fences and doing all kinds of stuff. She actually contacted Will Jevning, and Will Jevning tried to help her for a while, and then I guess just kind of stopped helping her because he didn't really know what to do. So we ended up having her put up motion lights and sensors and all kinds of stuff, which kept him at bay. They actually tried to break in her house, and they broke like one of her. She has like a root cellar basement, which led to her house, but there was like 3 doors or something, and they broke the outer door, and they actually left foot tracks by her door and stuff. She sent me pictures of, and so it's pretty crazy. What I've learned is I try to tell people that everybody's out searching the Pacific Northwest and all these places, these huge mountain ranges. It's so hard to find anything in these vast areas. What I've learned is some of these smaller pockets with these good terrain features are what's holding the Bigfoots. They'd rather sit in a little valley or ridges, you know, of 2,000 acres, you know, opposed to 100,000 acres. And if they're there, you're not going to find them. The chances of finding a Sasquatch in 100 or 200,000 acres or 1,000,000 acres is just, it's not going to happen. You got to find these isolated pockets. But enough. I ranted for a while. Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. I got there's questions on the live chat. I'll get y'all's input on it. Let's see. The same young lady who asked a question earlier. Let's see. Hold on. Okay, she said, any thoughts on this? Sasquatches come to my property. Last spring, I found different animal bones in my garden. It's big, and we have an electric fence around it. Any thoughts as to why I choose my garden? So,
What is she growing?
okay, she hasn't mentioned that. So yeah, and then she goes on down here in a different section after other people's comments. She said, we moved into this property 2 years ago. Last spring was the first time we planted a garden. The previous owners had a huge garden, but when I began to plant, I found animal bones. Well, now that she said that, that kind of makes me think perhaps that might have been an area where they actually buried their pets. I don't know.
Right.
So that it could be that. I don't know. Could be an old cemetery or something. But then again, I mean, if they had pets or anything, other animals will do that, bury other bones. Sasquatch are believed to bury some of their prey. I've heard stuff
You know,
like that.
you want to know an interesting thing that I just recently found out about? So on our hikes through this woods, from one section to another, it was like a good 3 or 4 hour hike to get from one trail to the next. Okay, off trail. We would hit these ravines, and in these ravines, I caught on video a few times. There's these big holes in the banks, right? And I was like, it's really odd. Why are these big holes dug in the sides of these banks? And I didn't investigate it at the time because I was just looking around doing other stuff. So I watched this show, that Killing Bigfoot show, right? And the guy, and I spoke with him, I forget his name. He's like the lead guy. He states that they like go in these riverbanks and live up in them. And when he said that, it kind of clicked in my head because I had remembered seeing that, you know, last year when we were on that hike, and I seen these huge holes like in the bottoms of these ravines by the creek beds, and it was odd. Like I probably could have fit myself, if not bigger, up through these holes. And I don't know, it was just intriguing that guy had said that also. I'm not pro kill, I'm not no kill. I don't care what your whole situation is with that, but I was trying to share the fact. They might live in the banks of the rivers and creeks and valleys and ridges and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's funny you brought up Killing Bigfoot because see, I don't have that channel it comes on, and that's another thing that was brought up earlier in the live chat. People want to know what's the thoughts on that because I personally, like I said, I wasn't able to see it, to view it, to really share any thoughts on that. Since you brought that up, if you want to share your thoughts on that, Brian.
Hold on one
But what do
second.
you?
I'm typing. Give me 1 second.
Oh, you're fine. How about you, Baltimore? Did you get to watch that show?
We actually talked about it a few weeks ago, and I still say, shouldn't. My opinion is that I don't think that Bigfoot should be killed at all.
Right,
So
absolutely.
there's more than one way to get DNA
Oh yeah,
from this animal.
because now I'm trying to remember where read or heard this from. Um, I know it's titled "Killing Bigfoot," but I heard a couple different mixed things about it, and I'm trying to remember them so I don't, say the wrong thing. But one was supposedly, I think Nikki Collin mentioned something about maybe it wasn't her, but it was mentioned that um, they were supposedly after a rogue or something that's been a certain one that's been causing trouble. Which I don't know. I kind of find that weird. That that's hard to believe. But I mean, if it's causing trouble, leave it alone. It leave you alone, as far as I'm concerned. But I don't know.
Um, I know there are a few rogue ones. I don't know why, because I ran into one last year. And this is what I tell people. I don't know if it's me or not. Maybe I have some type of intuition. I don't know. But I can feel their energy. Okay. I don't know how to say that, but it's kind of like you get that gut reaction when they're around. I get this gut feeling when they're in the vicinity, and I know. And what happens is I've interacted with them so much, kind of, that I know which one is which because it's a different feeling from each one of them. Well, last year, after I had encountered maybe about four different ones, it was, I think, um, there was one when I was walking on the way out. It was on that day, July 3rd, I think it was, when I shared the video. I'm in a creek bed and I turn around and I'm like, I'm speaking to the woods, because I can't see anything. And I said, look, I know you're there. I, I can tell. Like, and I start talking to it. And I was actually nervous because the energy that I had felt off of it. And I shouldn't have been nervous. I shouldn't have been scared. I was walking in a creek bed, 300 yards from the vehicle heading out of the woods. Um, and I just had this ominous feeling to where I had to turn around and talk about it and talk to it. And then it like calmed down after I said, hey, I know who you are. I know your friends and so on and so forth. But it's weird that I don't know if anybody else does that or can feel them, but it's just something weird.
Uh, when I was down in the certain ranch, it was maybe like around 35 miles north of Beeville. And I was sitting down in the bank area, and straight down there was there was a big creek bed down there, and it was just so covered up with brush. And then I started hearing something going in through the brush. And me, I don't fear the woods because I know how to protect myself in the woods and everything like that, or I know how to climb a tree, or if something comes chasing after me.
Right.
But this particular day, I was hitting some sticks together, and um, and I'm going, all right, cool, a buck's coming out, and it wasn't even buck season. It wasn't even deer season yet, but it was not even rut season yet as well for the deer. And so the more I hit it, the closer this thing got, whatever it was. And then all of a sudden, and something came to my mind that it's not a deer. And sure enough, that's when fear started coming in. When something watches you, there's in Spanish we call it ligando. It's what a cat does to a bird. And there's sometimes that you could actually feel it behind your neck, and that's when your hair stands up. So that's what I think that's what actually happened to me that day. Every time when I'm in the woods now, I've always listened to that instinct that there's something close by just watching me. And but the thing is, again, if I go in after it or trying to check if I could see it, I know very well that I would never see it. So I just have to wait until the opportunity comes along again.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. But see, like you said in Spanish there, or whatever you guys call it, or Indian, um, that feeling. But I get it not on the back of my neck. I get it like the presence is, on my back, but I feel it in my gut. It's this gut reaction. And it's so crazy because when you go through my videos, I'll say, I know something's over there. And either right before a sighting or right after, and I'm saying that I know it's over there. Because I can feel it, and somebody in the video will catch one walking or moving, and it happened probably a good 5 or 6 times, and it's crazy. So what I do is I listen to my intuition.
Right.
Like if we're going in the woods and we're going to a location, and my gut says go that way, we're going that way. I void everything out and I go in that direction, and it's led me to some great things. I mean, I would like you to try what I said, maybe just because I'm trying to correlate with other researchers, like to find these structures that are being added to, because I believe that if they're adding to these structures, let's say at a specific time, they're there for a reason. So they're coming there, and that's the time you want to be there, is because you're going to ultimately have an encounter, or more things happen. Why would you continue to walk, or why would you go to another structure when they're not there if they're adding to this main one? And then I'm trying to find out why in the wintertime they're dismantling them. So and I've showed before and after photos, like this is this year's, last year's photo of this structure. Look at it this year, or this directional marker's taken down and it's gone. So I don't know in my area, maybe it's just my area, but they're like dismantling and putting them back together at certain times of the year. Some people say that for every stick that you find in the structure, it correlates to a family member, past or present. So I don't know how true that is, but it's just so many different things that I'm trying to put together. But yeah, following your intuition is something big. And a lot of researchers won't do that, or they don't have that capability.
Hey guys, I'll be right back. Okay, you guys can carry on. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. Down here, there's been down here. They've been finding a whole bunch of deer parts, but mainly the front parts of the deer that with the broken bones, and then especially down the creek beds. And then one lady, we were having this conversation, and she lived pretty close to the creek bed area, the same area that we've been having. People have been having Bigfoot activity, and just about every single day, her dog would actually bring a piece of bone from the creek bed that was actually broken a certain way. Then so I know real well some of these bones are real hard to break. And have you all encountered any bones that have their femurs, have their front legs to the deer broken?
One time we did. I found a few skulls also that were broke. Not broken, but it looked like it was hit in the head almost, and
Okay.
it was really awkward. But I'm trying to remember if it was near a creek bed where I think it was where we did find that one. See, what's really weird is I have a piece of audio that I have an area we call the green room, and there's a certain reason for it because all the vegetation around this area seems null and void, and this particular area, maybe 200 yards by 200 yards, is green and lush. So we call it the green room, and we've caught a lot of activity in it. Well, this is where I caught some of the audio, and there's this one particular clip where it sounds like I'm a hunter, so I know what deer sound like. Okay, I actually sent this off to Cliff Barrickman, but he kind of was undecided about it, as everybody is. But in this one clip of audio, because you don't know what it is, it sounds to me like a deer is coming into the area, and all of a sudden you hear this big thud, possibly like a Sasquatch jumped out of a tree. Now I'm speculating here, but this is what it sounds like. And then you hear sort of like, it's not like a deer snort. It sounds like it's being compressed or the throat is being crushed on it to where all the air is like coming out of it. Like if I were to jump on you and you would go like that to push the air out, the deer is doing that, but it's like this like that final breath type of thing, and it goes but you can hear the whole deer thing stretched out, and it's like whoa, and then the woods goes quiet. 5 minutes later is when I catch the juvenile, which I believe is a juvenile, because I'll tell you the situation. He screams, and he's screaming at the top of his lungs, and you could tell a difference because actually a crow sounds off, and he's screaming and screaming and screaming, and then he starts breaking branches, whack, snap, crack. You can hear all these, noises. So I started putting two and two together. Did he actually kill that deer, and was he like, like a caveman would be, like, I conquered my prey? Was he screaming and yelling for a reason? Well, as he's yelling, about 5 minutes later, he starts it up again. What seems to be an older male say something. It sounds like he says, it's weird. It sounds like he tells the juvenile to go lay down. It's like, "Galang," and you can hear it say that. Now, it's unreal. And then you'll hear him scream a couple more times
Yeah.
as he moves off through the distance, and like he goes to wherever he was going up that ravine. But as far as the deer situation, it sounded like he was killing the deer. So I believe they do kill a deer, but I'm almost thinking that they don't eat them. I can't prove that yet, and I it's just my own assumption, I would say. I just, because when I seen the juvenile, and the reason I'll say that, I'll give you my reasoning. When I seen the juvenile in 2013, he bared his teeth to me. And when he bared his teeth and he rolled his lip, because we're talking 20 feet here, they were square. I didn't see any canines. They were all square, kind of like a plant eater or a, they maybe eat the barks or the tree or whatever. It wasn't like a meat eater teeth. So that's why I started thinking, well, why are they killing the deer if they're not going to eat them? I can't prove it, but I'm trying to work on that. Why they would or why they wouldn't eat the deer. Because everybody's claiming, well, they're moving with the deer population so they can eat all winter. But nobody can really seem to find them in the winter, especially up in my area. They seem to move off.
Let me give you a theory. I'm thinking that these two were working. I'm thinking that these two were working together, and because there's sometimes that they work together.
You're right.
And the juvenile might have ran the deer towards the other male and actually killed it. And then I'm thinking the only reason why that it didn't eat him there in the spot is maybe that he's taking it to the other parts of the family for them to share with the meat. And because the thing is, again, we actually don't know what these animals do, but we know that there's a female involved and a male involved, and now you have a juvenile. So I'm thinking that maybe that the male actually killed the animal and to help with the juvenile and take it to another spot for them to eat.
That that does sound plausible. I never really thought of it that way. Yeah.
And the thing is, dealing with the experience that I had with Bigfoot is that uh, I had it eat um, field dressings of the deer, intestines and stuff like that that were actually left out and came back like a few minutes later and it's gone. But for me, it always came out at the same time. It always came out like 9:30 in the morning. And one particular day, there was a few people that actually killed a deer and actually threw this deer parts down the creek. And as I was sitting down there, and I could actually hear actually dogs eating the intestines of the deer down there. And I must have been hearing them for a good 5-10 minutes. And then all of a sudden, I started hearing this sound. You could hear something pacing. Real hard footprints onto the ground. And all of a sudden, you see I could see these dogs, running out the creek bed, running all different directions, and these dogs never came back for that. So I even have you had the deep breathing experience yet?
Yeah. Yeah,
Ain't that wild?
it's it scares me. Um, I like you said, I'm not too scared of too many things, but I do most of my AKA Bigfoot in the daytime. Um, so you can see more. It's plain and simple. I've had more encounters, and 90% of our footage that is out there is from the daytime. Freeman footage, this footage, Patty, whatever it may be, it's daytime. So I focus on the daytime, and there's a couple times where they've jumped down out of trees, very close, and that deep breathing, it's unreal. And in my last video, actually, I'm with a friend, and I'm coming down an embankment, and I get it right behind me, but there's nothing there. Um, it's spooky because you're in the woods, and then it's just like this, like right behind you. And when I turn
Yeah.
around with the camera abruptly, there was nothing there, and I was swearing, what the f and holy, and because it threw me off guard. But there's some times where they'll do that where they don't want you to come any closer because you're real close. And talking about being close to them, I'm off the theory of them doing this infrasound thing or the sonar thing or all these other things. But I believe it's just their energy, their vibration. I've spoke to a lot of people about this, and I started reading and learning. And if they have a higher vibration than us, it's kind of like us going, through radiation. If it hits us, we get sick and whatever. So what I believe is that when we're close to them, if their vibrational frequency or their energy interacts with our energy, it's going to make us feel sick. I don't believe that they can throw infrasound and just from everything that I've been so close to them. I don't believe that anymore. I mean, I used to, but at this point in time, it's my thought is different on it. I believe it's just their body vibrational energy reacting with our energy, and since it's so much stronger, it makes us sick, which gives you headaches. And see, I've got so many theories, but I'm trying to answer all the questions with one plausible answer. And I talked to a good friend of mine, and we came up with frequencies. And frequencies can possibly answer a lot of questions, because here's the thing. If you've got to answer, how does a Bigfoot cloak? How does a Bigfoot throw infrasound? Or what? How does it do this? How does it do that? You cannot have multiple answers. You can't say it can do this and do this and do this and do this. The plausible answer is it can do one thing that answers all these questions. Do you see what I'm saying? And the plausible answer would be frequencies. Frequencies, it's kind of like what happens when you get a radio and a cell phone together. They interact. So could us and Sasquatch be the same thing? Like opposites, polar opposites, you know what I mean? And it gets us sick. So there's a lot of things if you're trying to answer the cloaking thing, and frequencies can answer, the invisibility thing too. If you're looking at a frequency standpoint, we can only see, it's not frequency, but it's so deep I can't even get into it. But that is kind of like my motto. I'm trying to take one thing and answer all these questions instead of having an answer for every single question along the way.
I've actually there's sometimes that they will sometimes get on their bellies, and they would actually crawl like a soldier would do, and try to get real close to the area. And then that's why when we're looking for them, for me it's like when my grandfather was alive, he would tell me always look on the trees. And then so if there's something on the ground, you're not going to see it because it's up there on the trees. And then all
Yep.
of a sudden, and then so you're still looking around trying to see this big thing when it's laying right down there on the ground in front of you when you don't even know it.
You made my day with
I
that
call him the
statement.
ninja of the forest. Well, they call him the black ghost for God's sakes. There's a reason for it. Because
Yeah,
he's excellent with camouflage. I mean, nobody could beat him in the woods. I mean, for me, I kind of think there's a game for him. you know how you can see me, I can you can see I can see you, but you can't see me
Right.
type thing. And so the thing is again, and the thing is, we're looking around for him. He could be on the ground with all we know, or behind a tree, or on top of a tree. So
It's amazing.
that's why we have to have our always look in the sky, look in the earth. Look everywhere. Just if you know he's there, he is there. The thing is again, how
Hmm.
are you going to see him? And
Right.
the thing is now, is he behind the tree? Is he on the ground? Is he on the tree, on top of the tree? You just don't know. But the thing is, again, he don't make the mistake. But you're going to come up there and say, you know what? I'm going to take off. And then all of a sudden, once you start taking off, and then you stop, and then you hear those steps behind you, or you hear him
Yep.
on the side. It's always that certain little thing, or he'll throw something at you. Hey, I'm over here, dude. So
Well,
he's always playing this game with us.
they can't make a mistake in essence because they're already there.
Exactly.
So I explain it to people like this, and they're like, "Well, what do you mean?" The easiest solution, or the best way I can explain this is, if you're in your living room and I'm coming in your back door, I'm a robber, and I'm going to come in your back door. You're going to see me before I get into your house. Usually, if you're sitting like, in the living room and you can see the door. So that's us in retrospect to Bigfoot. We come in through the door and they go out the front door. Same thing you would do. A robber comes in the back door, you head out the front door. So you're forced to do
Exactly.
two, and they have two options. If that robber comes in the door and he's too close to you and you can't make that front door, what do you have to do? You have to fight back, right? So I have to
Right.
fight that robber off. So what happens to them? If we catch them off guard and we get too close to them, you get the growls, you get the things thrown at you, you get people being attacked, and people don't understand why. You caught them off guard like that, like a robber would do to us. It's that fight or flight. So when you start laying that out for people, they understand. But they don't make mistakes. They just we came out of the woods ourselves. We've adapted to technology. I mean, look at this. I don't even know you, and we're on the computer. I mean, now I do a little bit, but we're talking and everything else. We came out of the woods. We lost our way per se. They're so in tune with the earth that they have that earth intuition. And until people really start adapting and using their mind and getting out there and paying attention and doing things that we should be doing from 500 years ago, we're not going to get any farther and get the evidence we need. I don't like to go on a paranormal trip. I don't like to go on a flesh and blood trip. All I do is share what I learned from them. And then when it starts to fall in line and make sense, people ask me, well, how are you figuring that out? I'm like, it's because I'm learning it from them. And it's interesting, there's so much depth to this that, you go on for months and months and months and try to figure it out. And it's like every so often they give you this. They'll give you a bone. They'll give you the information.
Yep.
And the light bulb goes off. And you're like, oh my God. But then just when you think you got it figured out, they throw something else at you. And I don't know if it's on purpose. Maybe they do it to like throw us off the right path. So it's really hard. You got to keep like this broad spectrum in front of you. Like Daniel's strictly flesh and blood, because of what he's experienced. You bring him to another area where there's paranormal things happening and he sees something unexplainable, then he might change his outlook on things. You know what I mean? Kind of like I was. I never believed in any of that paranormal. I don't even like calling it paranormal or woo garbage. It's just once you have to experience it, plain and simple. And once you do, everybody wants science. Everybody's, oh, science is going to prove this. Well, hundreds of thousands of years here we've had science, right? So what happens? Every now and then you end up seeing, well, this was wrong and we had to redo this formula and figure this out because that science was wrong from 100 years ago. It's forever changing.
Oh yeah.
And since there's no real scientists in this field, we have to come up with our own scientific ways. It may take a little longer. We have to come up with our own hypothesis and our own tests per se. There's no test out there to test for Bigfoot, really. So we have to come up with ideas to get to a solution. So it's kind of our own applied science.
Yeah.
It's not by the book. That's the problem.
So with
That's why.
science, yeah, I was gonna say with science, science could be good, it could be bad, but also like pretty much what you're saying. I agree with exactly what you're saying because as far as I'm concerned, and I've said this before, science does not have all the answers. I mean, and like you said, they've been wrong, and there's been very few who admitted to being wrong, and to begin, doesn't matter what field of science they're in. Well, for example, Todd Disotell, I've used him because he's the one I can recall the most, who's admitted to being wrong with different studies, and they found that, hey, well, what he studied, his answers were back then, he realized he made a mistake. There was an error, and things change, and things get revealed later on. So yeah,
Right.
science does not have all the answers. I mean, it's
The
like,
best thing you can do, the best thing anybody can do, is be true to yourself. Like
yeah,
as long as you're true to yourself, your research is going to come out phenomenal. And that's the only thing I can say is because people ask me, they're like, oh, you had that paranormal experience and now a month later you're talking about it. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to say those things. I wanted it to be something else is the problem.
right.
And when I remove myself from that equation, like others have said, uh, things started to make sense and open up. And then, you have the experience and I'm like, you know what? Just be truthful. Be honest with your research so it can actually go somewhere. And I shared it. And once I shared it, oh my Lord, did it go crazy. Like so many people contacted me, like I couldn't even keep track of it. And I feel
Hey,
bad
Ryan,
because
sometimes we have a special gift. Everybody has a little special gift. And I believe, I have a special gift. Daniel has a special gift. You have a special gift. And the thing is that it's that little gift that you have inside that basically can help you. Because I do a lot of paranormal stuff myself. I found a lot of even the Dunker Lighthouse. There's actually ghosts in there that actually caught EVPs in there,
yes, there's
and stuff. And if you go down over there, there's a legend of Baldy's Ball, and Dave from the Lighthouse could tell you all about that. But when you come with the supernaturals and everything like that, I kind of, there's a certain gift that you have, and then that there's a very few people that have it. And there's sometimes if you don't use it, then you're going to lose it. Especially in the woods, if you can, because we could be our own worst critics out there. When I'm in the woods, I make sure that I don't drop a piece of paper, because if I drop a piece of paper, Bigfoot would know that I'm close by, and that's why I always pick up these little piece of paper. It's just like you're in your living room and you find a shoe or a boot, and you're going, "Huh, this don't belong here. Who dropped it? I want to find out who did." So that's why there's sometimes that Bigfoot does that. He'll come over there and find out. He's curious. We're all curious, and
right.
that's why he wants to go over there and find out who's in his backyard.
Hmm.
But that's
And
good too.
that's
And
when
that's the
if you come up to a person that has, hey, who's this guy? Because I never seen him before, and I think that he's going to mess with him a little bit more compared to the ones that he sees on a regular basis. If that makes any sense.
right. It does. It really does. Um, I'm glad you actually pointed that out. Sometimes we get so keyed in on things that we're learning or trying to observe, being overwhelmed in the woods, but um, sometimes an outside perspective does help. Like you said earlier, I've been preaching to people for the last year that the best way Sasquatch can hide is to get down. We're out there looking for this 9-foot being, uh, and it doesn't happen that way. Yeah, you'll catch them here and there when they're walking away or fleeing or whatever it may be, but 90% of the time they're on the ground. They're using trees. They're it's their natural environment. They don't always stand up. They're down low, and I've witnessed that firsthand in my videos. I mean, when you have them on video, low to the ground, one almost looks like it was doing something with sign language, which I was going to try this year in the woods. I've been reading about sign language, and this young juvenile looks like it comes across and it goes like that, whatever that means. to its mouth, which could mean food or love or a bunch of different things. But that's when you see the male that was to its left and my left. That's when it started making gestures toward the tree, and it stands up and it watches me, and it blatantly watches what I'm doing for like a good 30 seconds at least, maybe 45. And then as I walk toward that camera, he turns, and he's big. You can see he weighs 500 pounds, I'm guessing, or more. Um, but it was so crazy because I was keyed in on the other one that my senses, I wasn't even able to see that one. So back to the point, we get so keyed up into certain things that, it's exciting in a way. As people, we try to cope with that and handle it all, and it falls apart. I mean, we're dealing with something that isn't supposed to exist. So, you know, I don't know. The in November, I had a paranormal experience that forever changed me, and I didn't want to talk about those things because people are like, oh, I mean, you're crazy. I got a good friend, Sasquatch, Ontario, Mike. After I started talking, truthfully and honest about things that happened, he contacted me, and um, things are amazing. People don't. It's just odd that if things correlate with other people and you haven't even told them your story, it just, when you could start saying, that happened to me, or that happened to me, who's really having these experiences. It's weird. I don't know, but you're right on point.
Hey, can I read something real quick that I found? I googled something that you were talking about, as far as sign language.
Yeah,
The title of this is called Hairy Giants. Okay, I guess this is somebody's blog. Um, it's a blog. It's called My Personal Opinions and Ideas on the Creatures Called, among other names, Bigfoot and Sasquatch. My thoughts stand on their own merit or lack thereof. And it goes on. All right, for this one here, it's a small paragraph talking about possible Bigfoot sign language.
really.
And this comes from November 14th, 2011. And it reads as, in my last post, I discussed the possibility of Bigfoot using tools. Here's an example from BFRO of Bigfoot using simple tools. Oh, okay, that's a link. I would have to click on that. And then it goes on to say, I also believe that Bigfoot has a sign language. It is a language that uses the whole body and not just the hands. By using the body, it can be seen at a distance, allowing Bigfoots to communicate silently without being close up. And then, of course, there's a link to say, to see an example of that. Uh, says it's an example of Bigfoot trying to communicate to a human. Then it goes on to say, I'll have to send this to you because, like I said, it's on a link here. I think what Bigfoot was trying to say was, "Do not come any closer. I could easily put you down. I am going to turn around and walk away, but not out of fear." So Bigfoot. Then he goes on to say, Bigfoot are often reported as swaying back and forth, which I observed that. I've seen that. Could possibly. Could it possibly? Could wait? Hold on. Could it be possibly that this has meaning? Maybe it's a greeting or a friendly response to a greeting or an indication of a willingness to communicate. And the person's name is William Mays. I'm not familiar with that. If they're on my friends list, I don't know them. But
Wait,
yeah, I'll go
Maze?
ahead. Yeah, William Mays. I'll go ahead and share. Send you the link.
Okay.
See,
Yeah.
Native Americans actually did sign language. They weren't deaf or anything like that, but they actually did sign language when they were in battle or when they were or when they were hunting. They always used a certain sign language. If they were too far away, they could actually tell them what to do just by hand movements. And then so that's why they have to be silent. And thing is, again, for me, is I think like this. Bigfoot thinks like an Indian. He'll come up there and he'll do the chants. He'll go over there and do the chants. He'll come up there and do the sign language or talk with their hands and everything like that, like we do. He even makes wiki ups or longhouses or anything like that Native Americans actually made hundreds and hundreds of years ago until this day. So I kind of think that maybe that Bigfoot and Native Americans, learn from each other of these certain things, and the clapping of the tools. We come up there and we make. How do we make arrowheads, or how do we make spearheads? We hit stones together. We break stones together. We chip stones with deer antlers, and maybe that could be a way that they could have communicated that certain way. So I've always thought that way. So but thing is, again, there's sometimes that um, it's like hunting, for example. It's like I told you earlier. They work together. They work together as a team to get their prey. So, hey
Well, they
Ryan, we
would
need
have.
to get together. You can send me or
Yeah,
something on
sure,
Facebook, like that we get together, and when we go to Dunker, we could definitely meet.
sure. I don't have no problem with that. I'll show you guys the areas, some of the locations, and um, yeah, definitely. You can friend me on Facebook, and Daniel can send a link or whatever my
Perfect.
Oh
Facebook to
yeah.
you.
Um. Yeah. I sent you that link, and I just want to let the viewers know. In the live chat, the possible Bigfoot sign language. I shared the link in the live chat as well.
See,
Trying
now
to think.
something like that, I never would have thought they did until my video showed that, or that's what it seems. The one's on the ground and he's on all fours, and then I like did it a couple times, like where I reversed it, and it looks like he just does something to his mouth. It looked like sign language to me, so that's where it popped in my head. That could be sign language. Like, didn't look like he was eating anything.
Right.
But they were obviously comfortable with me enough. That's why I believe that the habituation works. Um, it really does. Whatever you're doing over and over and over, and they'll smell you. They know you're there. They know your voice, and it gets to the point where they're just like, "He's here again," like. And if they're not leaving, because they're intrigued like we are, so they see what we do, and you start leaving them things, and they're like, "Well, I don't know." It just builds trust. So it really did work for us. And like I said, 5 months, I was so tired, exhausted last summer. Like, I had to take a break. Like, I couldn't even put all the videos out. If you're sharing videos and doing what you're doing, and it just got to the point where when you're there 5 days a week, there's sometimes we wouldn't even videotape. We're like, all right, let's not even take any cameras. Let's just go refill what we're going to refill, and whatever happens. A lot of times I'm upset we didn't have it because there's things that happen that, you know, um, but I noticed that they moved to certain areas, certain times of the year. Like, they were here in July,
Exactly.
here in
Yes.
August, here in, and I think migration is one of the biggest keys that unlocks this mystery.
Yep.
Um, because if we could follow that pattern, we can be there waiting for them, kind of like the deer, just like a hunter would do. He'd find where that buck is. He'd go to that bedding area. He'd back up off of it. He knows the buck's coming this route at this time, and I think it would work wonders. And in my recent Google video, or in my YouTube video, I talk about Google, how I found this one location where we were going to, having these sightings, and I'm on the Google map, and I look down and I can see this big X in the wood, in the tree line. Like, it looks like it's cleared out, and there's this huge X, and I was like, what is that? I zoomed in, I
Marker.
looked at it. Yeah, a marker. So I backed the camera out on the Google, and I started looking around the area for X's, and I started doing big circles, and I found another one and another one and another one. And finally I just kept following them, and I on and on and on and on. It took me 3 days, and I found these X's, and it created this huge circle, through Arkwright, um, through a bunch of Sinclairville, and it was like this huge road map. And then a bottom section showed X's where it went off down through Pennsylvania, out past Faulkner, down through the Appalachians, down through PA, until I finally lost it in the thick woods out there. I just couldn't. You couldn't see anything on the map. But what was key about it is where they were just walking, you could see where the X's were around the edges of the fields, the way they went around houses. It was so intriguing. Um, And then what would happen is like I'd find one, and then I couldn't find another one, so I'd have to move real far forward, find that X, and then come backwards. And when I lined them up, they would fall in line. And the crazy part is there's like 2 sections in this whole circle that the push pins are all singular, like a straight road map. And then it seems like when they get to a core area, they would branch out sideways, and you'd find all these other formations in certain areas. And it intrigued me because some of the areas that we had some of our most activity, it was spread out like, and then it's just, you'd have to watch the video. Kind of, it's just a quick video, but there's a second area that I kind of want to check out this year because the area we had things happened last year. The push pins on the map were spread out, so I knew that they were hanging out there like a core area. This other area is the same way. I found all these push pins spread out, all these X's and structures. I said, you know what? Maybe that's a location that they're going to. So this year I'm going to check that out to see if it pans out, if it holds water. So I plan on visiting this whole travel route. I mean, it would probably take me 2 years to do it all, but some of it goes through private property. Even I'd have to get permission, but it's just, like I said, migration is one of the things that hold the key to this. Sorry, I rambled on.
Oh no, you're fine. I wanted to give you guys a chance to go ahead if you guys want to promote or plug anything in before we go off, because we're gonna have to go off air very soon. Um, do you guys have anything you guys want to throw out there to maybe to promote, like I know Ryan, you got your YouTube and your blog site and everything.
Yeah, Western NY Bigfoot on YouTube. I run Bridging the Gap Between Sasquatch and Woo on Facebook. I also run Let's Prove It Evidence Review on Facebook, where we all share and I also write a blog at WordPress, and you'll catch that on my Facebook page time to time. And like I said, I like to correspond with other people quietly or via blog here, or what we're doing now, a podcast, and it's all about learning. And I want to say one more thing.
Oh yeah, go
All
ahead.
the negativity out there, all the problems people cause and all that, don't pay attention to that. Just follow your research and keep doing what you're doing, no matter what it is, because you'll end up getting some good information out of it. Just don't pay attention, because I had a lot of problems back in the day, and I just don't pay attention to that no more. It's not worth it.
So
The
you tell
negativity.
so you're telling people to ignore me? No, I'm just joking. I just, no,
Good
that's
one.
cool then.
I mean, you'll have
What about?
that. You just have to let it go.
Oh yeah. Well, I was. It's funny you bring that up, because I was just telling Michael Cook was messaging me about something that somebody kept responding to him. Michael Cook just had an interview, and it was a paranormal interview, and it was just one guy. I didn't even know who he was. He showed me the name. I was like, he showed me the conversation. I said, don't pay him no mind. I said, he don't know what he's talking about. It's very obvious with his comments and his replies. I said, don't let him get to you. I know that's easier said than done sometimes, when a person can be reluctant, just nonstop about it, but just
But you
block
know
them or
what?
something.
If you're true to your research and you're true to yourself, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter what they say. And once it's in your head that way, you
Hmm.
don't have to pay attention to what they say. It doesn't
Right.
matter, because you're the one that's really getting the evidence. Like, half of them aren't even out there. We know this. Come on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Oh
it is
yeah.
what it is.
Now Baltimore. I'm not aware of. I don't know if do you have any. No, I don't know if you have a website or anything. Do you or a?
I do have a small website. It's called B County Research.
Oh, okay. Be
So I
kind of
have
research.
right. Yeah, I have some
Okay.
photos up and everything like that there.
Awesome.
Right now, I'm trying to get together a kit, and normally it's the same kit I take every time when I go out, and try to put that together. And I like taking my notes with me, my notepads, and my GPS. And if I find something, I just write everything down. So I put my little kit together. It has little plasters and things like that, and my measuring sticks and making sure that if I find something significant, I could. To me, if I find a track or anything like that, I do it like a crime scene,
Right.
and I have everything with me with my little kit that helps me out to do that. So
Awesome.
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, we use a testing kit too, and um, I'm actually waiting for some sample results to come back from the university. We talked about it last time. I got 4 back, and 2 were dogs that couldn't be identified, and 1 didn't work, and 1 was human that couldn't be identified. It was either contaminated or whatever. But
Let me
Huh.
ask you this: do you think, you know, sometimes I would have like people call me up and they would tell me that they have all this evidence and they have all this DNA about that, and there's people that know about this and they have about DNA that they actually have it on Bigfoot, and they're not sharing it with the public. Uh, do you think that's true?
in some aspects, I think some people could have some information. Your old timers, your old people, like you would say, medicine man. Let's say, take them for example. They don't talk. They're
Right.
just they're set in their ways. So there are certain people out there that do have some things that could break this wide open, but they have no need to.
Now, you think that
Um,
government might have that?
100%. We don't like to
I
talk about
agree.
the government here, but 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of mixed stuff on
Because
that.
I'll give you an example. I don't know if I told you this or not, Daniel. There was a chupacabra that was actually killed in a small little town of Poteet, Texas,
Okay.
and the farmer came up there because it was actually attacking his chickens. And it's not this hairy coyote that you see on stuff up there. It's nothing dealing with that because I've seen them many a times, or an animal that has a mange pretty bad. This farmer actually shot it while it was eating his chickens. So it was
Oh
laying in
wow.
his yard for a couple of days, and he didn't know how to dispose of it.
Mm.
I'm going to say it like this: some certain people went up there to his house and told him that he couldn't advertise this in the American news, but so what he did was he advertised it in the Spanish news, and it was on the internet for a while, and now this photo is totally gone from it.
Oh
So,
wow.
so that's why there's sometimes when I kind of feel that evidence like that occurs, and they do have it, and there's a gag order basically with it. So that's why that's the way I asked about the question the way I did.
Right.
Well, I've had issues in the past, and we stopped talking about that a good year ago because people don't want to talk about that and they don't believe you. But as of recently, I just shared a video where I was able to record some, well, you would call it conservation officers. They found my cameras and took them down and stated that there was a law where we can't use trail cameras in New York State on the state forests. And I've hunted my whole life along with a ton of other people I know, and we've never heard anything like this before. And what they were claiming is that we were storing personal property on the game land. And I said, I'm not storing anything. I'm just using a camera strapped to a tree. He's like, yeah, but you can't store personal property. So they took my kettle, all my contents of the kettle, the 3 cameras, they took them down. The only way they contacted me is I put my phone numbers with markers on the back of the cameras.
Wow.
He gave me the cameras back, and they gave me a written warning. On my YouTube channel, there's a video. It's Bigfoot and Forest Rangers. And what it is kind of like the breakdown of them talking to me, giving this stuff back to me. But some of the things that the officer says to me, he says that this state game land here is a WMU, which is Wildlife Management Unit. And he's like, the one thing he states is really odd. He said, this is for endangered species.
Oh
And
wow.
I think that was a slip. You'll hear him say it in the video. And I'm like, I didn't say anything about Bigfoot or anything, but I'm thinking to myself, endangered species. I said, well, there's 5,000 acres here, and 2 miles up the road as the bird flies, there's another 5,000 acres. And I asked him, I said, well, why would it be different? I was like, you're going to tell me an endangered species that's here is just going to stay here? It's not going to roam? No, that ain't
Yeah.
happening. So it's almost like it was his way of telling me, hey, we know they're there. I don't know if that's possible or not, or if it's true. It could be a
Yeah.
stretch, but why would you say that?
Well, I'll tell you
Why
like
would you
this:
say
if it would be an endangered species there, I think that they wouldn't have you catch it on film or on a camera and like that. If you see something different, because I do that, and if you see something different on there, that would help. That would benefit them. Say, hey, you have your cameras up here. We're trying to find this, and we would just want to make. If you see it more, just let us know. Blah blah blah. Let's say for the spotted for the spotted owl, for example, it's an endangered
Yeah.
species. And then if it goes well, if you cut that on your camera, hey, I would come up there and talk to you about it and say, hey, have you seen any owls that like that? But not taking that away. It's very strange.
Yeah. Well, it's funny in my area, and it's national forest, which it belongs to the state. It's public, and in two different areas, I know two different game warden officers, and they both know me very well. Every time they come there, if I'm camping in the area, and they will come out and check out the area, make sure everything's cool. And the one guy, the female, she don't get into asking too many questions. And like if she sees me with a group of people, if I see her approach the other people, I'll go up to her and say, "Hey, Kate, it's me. It's they're with me with the Bigfoot people." And she, "Oh, okay, cool, no problem." She's cool about it. And now over in the other area, this guy here, he's kind of gung ho, but yet once he gets to know you, he kind of mellows out. Well, one thing he asks every time he comes to see me or checks in the area, "You got any trail cameras out there?" I say, "Yeah." I'll be honest with him. I say, "Yeah, I got a couple out right now." And the one thing he tells me is, "When you leave, make sure you take them with you." He said, "Yeah, because if you leave here, the way he puts it, he said it's considered abandonment." And then he goes on to say, "Yes, you can't leave anything like that on national forest." Blah blah blah. So I said,
well,
"All right."
I believe they know that they're there, and I believe they thought that I'm getting close.
Yeah.
And by some of the things you see in my video or videos, I believe that it was time for them to step in. So I actually had to write our senator, Kathy Young, and I complained. I said, "Look, we're not allowed to use these trail cameras out here." I said, what is the state game land for? I mean, you got to have a permit for everything, but yet Botwell Hill is 5 minutes up the road, 5,000 more acres of state land, and you can kind of do whatever you want over there. He's like, well, the DC guy goes, well, it's more relaxed over there. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking to myself, why is that woods more relaxed than this woods? It
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. It doesn't. So I had to file what's called a TRP. It's a temporary revocable permit. I just did that 2 weeks ago. So I'll wait to see what that comes back as. It's to be able to conduct your research and use game cameras and whatever else it is. I had to list the university or whatever that we're doing and a bunch of stuff, but it's ridiculous. I mean, for what? Why? I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Huh.
I don't think that they want us to find the truth. To be honest with you, if they do have it or not. But that's why it's very important for us as BRO people for us to find the evidence out there.
Yeah.
That's why we have to be as truthful as possible. No hoaxing or anything like that. A prime example was today in that photograph. That's why we have to be as truthful as possible because once we start putting bogus stuff out there, nobody's going to take us seriously. And then all of a sudden,
Absolutely.
Lord and behold, we have this evidence, hey, it's a fake, and so the thing is, again, that's why we have to do what we got to do. Hey,
Right.
Daniel,
Lying
guys,
doesn't.
Ryan, it's good talking to y'all. I got to get off this phone because my phone's about to die.
Oh, not a problem. That's what. Yeah, I had to
Yeah, I'm
plug
gonna do the
mine in.
same.
So, all right.
All
Well,
right, so
thank you
just keep
guys
me
for
in
coming
touch,
on.
and Ryan, so just send me a Facebook request, and we get together
No
in
problem.
Dunker.
All
Yep,
right. Sounds
All
good,
right.
guys.
sure thing.
All right.
Nice
See
meeting
y'all
you.
later, guys.
All right. Take it easy.
Bye.
Bye.
Later, Dan.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Have a good one, man. I am going to throw a plug in for one last second here while we got viewers on. I just want everyone to be aware of that there is a new podcast by Tracy Arnold. Tracy Arnold is the founder and the lead researcher of the New Valley River uh, Bigfoot organization here in Virginia. Um, he also has a YouTube channel He goes by the name of Sasquatch Outlaw under his YouTube channel. And he just started a new podcast. He's new into the new podcast. So if you go find Tracy Arnold under the name Sasquatch Outlaw, and of course keep in mind he wasn't aware that there is a radio show called Sasquatch Outlaws, but Tracy Arnold is Sasquatch Outlaw on YouTube. Okay, so definitely check him out, and if you haven't done so, make sure you subscribe to him. Let him know that Daniel of the ECBRO had sent you. He's a great guy. He's an honest researcher and probably one of the most coolest down to earth kind of guys you could ever meet. He's the real deal. You know, he doesn't BS with people. He's very logical and down to earth. Also, he does have a very well. He keeps a very good open mind. So I do advise you to check him out, Tracy Arnold, and the Sasquatch Outlaw YouTube channel. And on another note, if I've shared before openly on Facebook quite a few times that the ECBRO has events coming up. As far as outings, camping events, we have one coming up here in June of this year, June of 2017. It's going to start off like this, and this is how it's going to go. June 24th, we have a Virginia Bigfoot seminar, June 24th, at the Waynesboro Public Library in Waynesboro, Virginia. Okay, again, I'll repeat that one more time. It's in Waynesboro, Virginia, at the Waynesboro Public Library downstairs in the conference room. And that's June 24th. Okay, now that whole following week from June 24th through July 1st, we will be doing or conducting a camping expedition. For all those who want to go or plan on attending, we are meeting at the Waynesboro Public Library at the seminar. And all those attending will follow me to the location because I am not giving the location out publicly. Although the event is free and everyone is welcome, everyone is responsible for bringing your own food, gear, and all your own supplies, shelter. And one thing you must keep in mind is that there's no electricity there, and the only running water there is the streams and the river nearby, and it's clean water. The streams, when you get to hiking and exploring, you'll see some of the streams. They're all spring fed. It's all spring water. I've drinking out of these streams quite a few times. I use the water to make my coffee, to cook in, even though I bring regular drinking water too, spring water of my own. Um, Again, the whole event, the seminar, and the camping expedition is 100% completely free. Um, we just want people to come out and get to learn and observe nature for what it is and experience the active location that I have. Others have gotten to experience this. I want others to come out, be able to come out and fellowship with us, get to meet us, get to know who we really are. And come on out to the Waynesboro Public Library. Any of information, you could email me at ECBRO98 at gmail.com. Send me a friend request on Facebook. You have any questions, you can go to our Facebook pages. We have the E.C.B.R.O. Virginia Bigfoot Conference coming up in 2018, which will be on June 30th. Tickets are on sale, even on the live chat. If you look on the bottom of the live chat, I have the E.C.B.R.O. Virginia Bigfoot Conference ticket link right there on the live chat right now as we speak. So feel free to check that out. Take advantage. Tickets are on sale now. All right. I wouldn't wait because there is limited space on tickets. Get your tickets now while there is time. This is early yet. You got plenty of time to plan for this. So buy your tickets now. And then we want you to come out to our events. You can follow me on Twitter, ECBRO98. And we're going to try to keep up with the YouTube podcast shows like we're doing tonight. But mainly, we are carrying more shows on our radio show. If you go to blogtalkradio.com and find our radio show, Squatch Zone Radio, check out Squatch Zone Radio. I'm your host, Shaky Jr. is your co-host. We have a lot of great guests on there. A lot of times we jump in as a group and just go into open discussion, and it's pretty good stuff. I wouldn't miss it. I would definitely become a follower of that if you're not a follower already. And then I think with that being said, if you guys have any other questions, I'm watching the live chat. if you have any questions, last minute questions before we go off air, go ahead, throw your comments or questions up on the live chat. I'll be glad to answer them real quick. So I'm going to sit tight here for another couple more minutes. If you have any questions, go ahead and interact in the live chat. And for the record, I will repeat my email address if you're not on Facebook with me. It is ECBRO98@gmail.com. And be sure to make sure you're in the subject space. Make sure you put E.C.B.R.O discussion, or just let me know it's you're somebody from that wants to ask a question. Make sure you give me details, contact information, how to return. If you want me to contact you, or if you want the link to the Bigfoot conference directly sent to you, let me know. With any last words, I'm going to sit tight here. Like I said, I'm sitting tight for 2 more minutes. And I will throw a couple of things out there. If you are a book reader, if you're into reading books, I'm going to throw while you gathering any questions or anything you might want to type in, I do want to throw a couple of books out there for promotion, and just lost one of the ones I was going to share. There it is. These are a couple of books I like to promote from paranormal author and Bigfoot researcher Melissa George. Okay, we got Sasquatch, The Native Truth. This book can be found on Amazon by Melissa George, Sasquatch, The Native Truth. Okay, and here's another one. Bigfoot Chronicles. Again, Bigfoot Chronicles, True Encounters with the Legend Known as Bigfoot by Melissa George. Okay, right here. All right. And then here's, for those who may not be familiar with it, this is my first original book. This is just a guide. It's just a special guide. It's good for the enthusiast or those just getting involved. It is, like I said, a basic guide. Basic Bigfoot research and guide to knowing the truth. Okay. With these books here, they help you draw your own conclusions and pretty much kind of guide you along with some wildlife information. Here's one more book. This is my latest publication right here, my latest published book, Bigfoot Theories versus Facts, also found on Amazon. You can find this book on Amazon right here. And I have one more book that you could also find on Amazon, which is the Junior Bigfoot Activity Guide. That's right, the Junior Bigfooters Activity Guide by Daniel Benoit, found on Amazon. And I do have a question in the live chat. Will you put Ryan's info on ECBRO page? On the ECBRO page? Yeah, I could do that. He may still be listening, so he could submit that information. I could go ahead and do that too. So as soon as I get off here, I'll share some of the information from Ryan. If he wants to share and send, I'll have to try to get his website, his blog. He's got a blog site, and you can find him on Facebook as well. His name is Ryan, Ryan, last name Reading, Reading. So you can check him out. And then I think with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're done for the night. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. And again, check out Squatch Zone Radio, and hopefully you guys can come out to our events here this year, June 24th through July 1st. We'll be camping. But again, June 24th, we are meeting at the Waynesboro Public Library in Waynesboro, Virginia. And the meetup time will be 11 a.m. That's right, 11 a.m. Come on out to the Waynesboro Public Library, June 24th in Waynesboro, Virginia. 11 a.m. we meet up, and we will depart by 3 p.m. All right. We will be departing from the library 3 p.m. no later than 3:30. But we're going to shoot for 3 p.m. and we're going to head out to camp, and it's going to be a great time. You don't want to miss it. And again, the event is free. And don't forget about next year's event. The tickets are on the live chat. They will disappear once I go off air. If you have any information or if you want the link to the tickets, Get them now for 2018, June 30th, here in Virginia. All the information is shared. Anything you need to know. God bless. Thank you guys very much.